Assalamu alaikum grade 8. Today we're doing congruency. Okay, we've done similarity with triangles. Now we are doing congruency, and we need to understand what do we mean in geometry when we say two shapes are congruent, right? Okay, so there's two requirements to have congruency. First of all, they must be of the same shape and the angles are equal, and they must be of the same size. Okay, so remember when we did similar shapes, the angles were the same, but the size didn't have to be the same. So we could have had a small triangle and a big triangle, but as long as the sides are in proportion, we call them similar triangles. Now in congruency, the shapes are the same and the angles are the same. Okay, and then we call them congruency. So basically everything is equal in these shapes, and then we can call them, they are congruent shapes, right? But when we're doing triangles, there are 4 conditions of congruency, and we're going to go through it in the textbook now, right? So there's 4 conditions of congruency. Let's look at the textbook. Okay, we're on page 162 of the textbook, okay? And we just need to learn these 4 reasons or conditions for having congruency. So when you say a shape is congruent, you have to prove one of these 4 things, right? So there's 4 conditions, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're going to go through each one of them, and I'm going to show you how simple it is, right? So if you have 2 triangles, okay, and we have SSS, so this we need to learn off by heart. It's not something we can remember, we need to learn it off by heart. If I see SSS, S is standing for side, and A means angle, right? And when we do the last one, you'll see that H means hypotenuse. Okay? Okay, so you need to know what the letters stand for first. Right, so now we're doing side, side, side. So what it means is if in 2 shapes, all 3 sides are equal. So let's look at this diagram here. AC is equals to DF. Can you see that there's one line there? The one line is telling you that AC is equals to DF. It's telling you that those sides are equal in this shape here. Then we've got AB and DE. Can you see that AB is equals to DE, right? Because of those 2 lines, that 2 lines are showing you that this and this is equal. Okay, so that side is equals to that side, and that side is equals to that side. And then BC, you can see that 3 there and a 3 here, it's matching. Okay, so BC is equals to EF. So if this is a condition now, right? So if in 2 triangles, if all 3 sides are equal, so if we have a condition and we write it down SSS, and in your diagram they've given it to you, or you can prove it that all 3 sides are equal, you can say that triangle ABC is equals to DEF, triangle DEF. Okay, so remember when we were writing similar triangles, we made this sign here. Okay, now we've changed the sign to horizontal. So when you see a sign like this, this is telling you that triangle ABC is congruent to triangle DEF. And why is it congruent? The reason of congruency is the SSS in the first one. The 3 sides are equal. Okay, so then when we do an example, we'll see now. Number 2 says side, angle, side. Okay, so what we need to find is 2 sides and 1 angle that's equal in both triangles. So look at here, AB, can you see we're matching again? And QR, they equal, right? Can you see that? And BC is equals to PR, can you see that? Okay, and there's one more thing that's equal. When you see a shape that has 1 line like this, or 2 lines, or 2 dots, or anything, it's telling you that angle B is equals to angle R. Can you see that? So what do we have? We have a side, an angle, and a side. Side, angle, side. Now notice in this one here, the angle is in the middle of the 2 sides. Okay, so that's how it needs to be. It can't be that angle or that angle. Then you wouldn't fulfill this condition here. So we have a side, angle, side, side, angle, side, and they both are the same in both shapes. So what can we say? That triangle ABC is congruent to triangle QRP. Okay, now we go to the third one. So if what it means, 4 conditions, if any one of these are there, then you can call the triangle a congruent triangle, and you have proven it, right? So you're going to look for either one of the congruencies. Either 3 sides must be equal, so we have to learn it, SSS, or side, angle, sides are equal, SAS. Now we're doing SAA, so it means one side. Can you see we're matching one side? And then we've matched B, angle B to Y, and angle C to angle X. So what do we have? One side and 2 angles. Okay, but look, they've given you 2 pictures here. So what they've said is, here's one angle here, B and Y, BC and LX are the same, and then we've got A and Z. So it also means that these triangles are congruent. Why are they showing you 2 pictures? Because in this one here, where the angle is in the middle of the 2 sides, so then that has to be side, angle, side. The angles can't be there, right? But this question here, where it says S side, angle, angle, you can have one side and any of the angles can be, any 2 angles can be equal. Okay, so then any 2 angles can be equal. So look at this first triangle here. They've got B is equals to Y and C is equals to X. Here we've got B is equals to Y and A is equals to Z. So any 2 angles can be equal and one side can be equal. Then what can we say? That these triangles are congruent. And you'll get used to it when we see an example, right? So side, angle, angle. Okay. Now we've got 90 degrees hypotenuse side. Okay, we haven't done the theorem of Pythagoras yet. It's later on. But what you need to know in a 90-degree triangle is, the very most important thing is that sine. Okay, this is telling me that my triangle has 90 degrees. What is the hypotenuse? The side that is opposite the 90 degrees. So this one is called my H. AC becomes my H, okay? And in this one here, here's my 90-degree sine. So LN becomes my H, okay? So what this condition of congruency is telling you, if there's a 90 degrees, which we have, can you see? 90 degrees in both triangles. And the hypotenuse is equal. So where's my hypotenuse? AC and LN. Can you see they're equal? They've given me a matching sign there. Can you see? So they're equal. The hypotenuse must be equal. And this one side must be equal. So here's BC and MN. We're going to do an example now, right? So what are we looking for? We're looking for a 90-degree sine in both triangles. We're looking for the hypotenuse must be equal, which is the side opposite there. Yes, it's equal. And we're looking for another side that's equal. So either this side or that side, it doesn't matter. So this side is equals to that side. So can I say that these 2 triangles are congruent? Yes, I can, because I've proven the 90 degrees hypotenuse and side. And this is why triangle ABC is congruent to triangle LMN. So can you see the 4 conditions of congruency? So you have to close your eyes and write them down from your mind, okay? And then we're going to apply them to the example. So first of all, you need to learn, how do I prove that triangles are congruent? There are 4 types of congruent triangles. So if I prove any one of these 4, I can say that a triangle is congruent to another triangle. So let's see SSS. Okay, let's look at my note here. Okay, you see the note? Right, so what I said here in summary, you write down a summary for yourself in your book as well. 4 conditions of congruency. SSS means that 3 sides must be equal in the 2 triangles, right? SAS means two sides and one angle, but remember that angle must be between the two sides. Okay, so SAS. Then I've got SAA, like the company SAA, who's not making any money now because of COVID, right? So SAA, like the aeroplane, one side and two angles. So remember, this one was any two angles, but one side must be equal, right? And this one was the 90-degree triangle, where we have a 90-degree sine. The hypotenuse must be equal and one side must be equal. Then the triangles are congruent. Okay, so you have to learn the four conditions first. That's our first step. So when I want to write down that two triangles are congruent, I write down, triangle ABC is congruent to triangle DEF. Okay, this was the sign for congruency, and that's the sign for similar triangle. So remember it and learn it. Okay, so let's do some examples now. I'm staying in your textbook. Okay, so now we're on page 163. Okay, so it's saying determine whether this pair of triangles are congruent. If the triangles are congruent, name them in the correct order and write down the reason for congruency. So we're going to see why we have to call them in the correct order, right? Okay, so what is it telling you in the first place? Determine whether they are congruent. So what must we do? We must look for the four conditions. Either we're going to look for side, 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 angle, side, side, angle, angle, or 90 degrees hypotenuse side. You can see there's no 90 degrees here, so that one is out of it totally, right? It's easy to spot a 90-degree triangle. Now we're looking for the other three, so you work from there. First of all, if it's not 90 degrees, scratch it out. Now we're looking for what we have been given in our triangles and then see whether they have these conditions, and then we can say that they are congruent. So let's look at the diagram. Remember always, I know you all were struggling with the similar triangles yesterday. In geometry, the answers are given to you on your diagram. So all you need to know is remember your theorems and look for what they've given you and remember the theorem, and you'll be able to solve any question, right? So look at A now. A is equals to E there. Okay, so I've got one angle already, right? Okay, so obviously it's not this one, this condition. It can be either this condition or that condition now, right? Now I've got D is equals to B. Okay? So what do I have already? I've got two angles that are equal. Okay? So what am I looking for? Is it this one here? No, I don't have two sides. So I've got angle. Now I'm looking for a side that's equal. Right? So which is there a side? Have they given me a side that's equal? Here's AB is 5 centimeters and there's a 5 centimeters. Can you see? So now I've got side, angle, side. So in my statement, remember we have to write it to get marks. Can you see I found two angles and one side? So are they congruent? Yes, they are congruent. I've proved one of the conditions of congruency. So in my statement, I write down in triangle ABC, right? And triangle DEF, okay? A is equals to E. Okay, we have proved it's given to us, and B, A is equals to E. I think they didn't write it down here. And which other one is equal? A is equals to E and B is equals to D, right? So this is not the side, sorry. This is supposed to be angle equal, okay? And that's your two angles there. And here's your one side here. Okay, so there's a mistake there. These are your two angles that are equal. So we've got angle, angle, and side. AB is equals to DE. So what I needed to do is just to look for one of those conditions in the triangles. Then I can say, since it is given that the two angles and one side of triangle ABC are equal, two angles and corresponding sides of triangle DEF, the triangles are congruent. Okay, so what's the reason? How do I write it down? Triangle ABC is congruent to triangle DEF, and my reason of my congruency, I have to write it down. Remember, I'm going to get marks for that. I'm going to get a mark for that. Okay, I'm going to get the mark for that, for that, for that, for that, for that, for that. So don't just write down side is the angles are equal, so then triangle. Okay, you're going to lose out a lot of marks. You need to write down step by step and prove it. Okay, so this triangle ABC is equals to triangle DEF, and why is it equal? Because of side angle, side